I think you have to look at this realistically in a couple of ways. First off, it's likely if he continues this way, he's going to opt out. So you want to obviously keep him here. I can't imagine this team without him, and I don't think anyone in that lineup can either. But the other tricky part is he's represented by Scott Boras. As soon as you make an offer for Pete, that becomes the floor as you go on to the end of the season and likely into free agency. And you also don't want to do anything to distract Pete himself from having a good year. I mean, last year I felt like that was kind of lingering over his head, and he had kind of a down season. So you would have to do this very carefully. I would think that they'll start talking about this internally, at least over the next few weeks as they get closer to the amateur draft, which is the All-Star break, even leading up to the trade deadline. They might take a quick pass at it into August to see if they can entice him. But I think you only have one shot there. If you take it at all, this one might be better off waiting till the end of the season.
Adam, Jim mentioned it there. Could the contract potentially be the conversation of the contract potentially become a distraction to Alonso or the team?
I don't think so. I mean, look, he's been dealing with this for multiple years already. Last year, the contract was to talk the whole year, and the team went all the way to NLCS Game 6. I feel like Pete is the type of guy that he's going to try to put the hammer down the rest of this year. I'd be really surprised if an extension came together before the season ended, but I don't think it'll definitely never be talked about in the clubhouse. It's just a matter of Pete is going to continue to say what he says to the media every day, the way he handled it last year. He has plenty of experience in this spot, and that'll serve him well the rest of the way regardless.
And if he continues on having this type of season that he's having right now, I'm really curious to see when it's all said and done how the market is going to change from maybe the offseason last year when, let's face it, he didn't have much of a market, or at least one that he felt he and Scott Boras were going to have. But that's another story for another time here. I mean, me personally, I've done a complete 180 in terms of what I think his future should be with the New York Mets. I mean, look, he hit that home run last year against Milwaukee Brewers in the playoffs. That put him a spot in Mets fan lore till the end of time. We know that. But you have to separate the emotion from what he means to the fans, to the productivity, his age, all those things. I got to be honest with you guys, though. I can't imagine this Mets team next year or the year after that without Pete Alonso. Let's face it, they're not in first place. They don't have the best record in the National League right now, if not for Pete Alonso. I think he's too valuable to the franchise, even if he is a 30-plus-year-old first baseman.
Hard to imagine them without Pete Alonso. Yeah. He had some leverage as far as the fan base went last year. Adam, I don't think you could be in a better spot if you're Alonso. If he finishes out the year the rest of the way, it doesn't have to hit 300 necessarily, but have an MVP-type year, I mean, he's in a prime position heading into free agency, knowing that the fan base is not going to allow the Mets to let him go.
And he knows that. So that's why I see him going to free agency. Look, Pete has been the consummate Met since he's come up. He has never shied away from his aspirations to be a lifetime Met, to go into the Hall of Fame as a Met. He's the type of guy who really enjoys the spotlight of playing in New York. I think that's always going to be the case, and you're seeing it kind of play out now. But at the same time, David Stearns is not an emotional type of GM either. He's going to go and he's going to say, this is a nice run right now. Let's see where we're at the end of the season. Steve can obviously back up the truck anytime we want, but let's let this play out, and let's enjoy this season while we have Pete.
Let it play out, not factoring emotion too much, like Adam said, and that's really what went into the market with him last year with the Mets, and it's great that they found each other again. But, he didn't have a great season last year, knowing that free agency was something that was in the offing come the winter time. He's almost going into his free agent year again, and yet he's going out there and producing, and the Mets are the ones who are reaping the rewards.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's benefiting. Maybe Pete's going to get the money that he wants. The Mets are getting the production that they want. Teams having success. Great for everybody. Fans are enjoying themselves. Great for everybody.